Hey, my name is Dave Aarons. Welcome to my shop. This time I'd like to cover using a Worksharp 3000 with CBN wheels from Woodturners Wonders to sharpen the cutter on this continental style hand plane. Okay, so I got my plane right here. First thing I gotta do is to knock the iron out of it. I got this hammer. It's brass on one side and then plastic on the other. This is called the strike button. All right. Take the wedge out, take the cutter out. Next I'm going to take the chip breaker off. Okay, so first thing I got to do is I got to take my strop off. I'm going to start off with because we got to flatten the back of this cutter first. So I'm going to start off with, what do we got here? I'm going to start off with the 180 grit. So this particular wheel is 180 and 80 on one side, 180 on the other. So I got the 180 facing up. I'm going to try flattening the back real quick. Start with the edge way up. Give it a couple of seconds and look. Okay, so it's getting pretty close to the edge right there, but right in here it's not. So I'm going to hit it again. All right, a little bit better. It's got kind of a hollow. So what that's telling me is that I got quite a bit to do. So I'm going to shut that off. I'm actually going to flip this wheel around. I want to start off on as high grit as I can, just to save metal back here. But this is going to be pretty slow, so I'll go to coarser grit. It's coming along. For rehabbing a lot of antique tools, I do kind of recommend you get some sort of power system. I settled on the Worksharp 3000 with the CBN disc, mostly because it's cost effective. These discs shouldn't have to be replaced. The only drawback to these discs, if you go with really antique tools where the steel is old, I mean like getting into the late 1800s old, then you got to be careful because the steel's kind of soft to be using on these CBN wheels. This one seems to be doing fine. That usually you leave residue, or you'll leave like a metal ring at your higher grits. I used to flatten these on a surface plate with sandpaper. It just took forever. And I've been collecting quite a bit of antique tools, so it just got to be kind of a pain in the neck. You can see metal coming off there pretty good. I feel pretty good burr right here. Right here. It's just this corner right here that I'm not hitting. Just a couple of seconds and lift it off. This setup has worked for me pretty well so far. And you can see, even though it's a power system, it still does take a while. Feel it getting hot. It feels hot, but you can still touch it and hold your fingers there. Yeah, you're okay. You're not damaging anything. You have to look at the timestamp and see how long this takes, but quite a bit of metal is being pulled off there. I'm trying to stay off this blue and keep that nice. Alright, this corner is just taking forever, but it's a whole lot better than rubbing this thing on sandpaper or on diamond stone. I've tried them all. I've tried diamond stones, water stones, sandpaper, but yeah, just if you're going to rehab a bunch of antique tools, just get some sort of power system. This has been, I mean, the machine was $100, $200 for all 3 wheels that I'm going to use was right around 160 bucks. And I got them from Woodturners Wonders. There's a little spark flew there. Okay, just a little bit more. Okay, so I'm flat all the way across. Alright, so that's at 80 grit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my chisel port, and I have my chisel port. Always check this. Every time you step up to this tool, always check to make sure you're at what your setting is. I can't tell you how many times I've switched settings and then went to do a tool and I found out it's the wrong setting after I started grinding for a while. So okay, 25 degrees, that's what I want to be at. We'll hit it once and we'll see if we need to change that. But most of the time I start off at 25 degrees. So I'm just going to give it a little hit. The true genius of this Worksharp is this chisel port. And what am I hitting at? Okay, so way up here. You know what? I'm going to switch to 30 and see what happens. Usually I don't do that, but this is such an oddball plane that I don't think it's going to matter. Okay. So I pull up in this little bar here. Find my 30. Okay, lock that in. And now I'm going to hit this again. The other thing is this thing spins up to speed very fast. Alright, so I'm getting the edge, but it's hitting over all the way over on this side. Alright, so I'm going to grab a square. I'm going to check this. And yeah, that side is a bit higher. So that makes sense. Alright. So, now I got to make a decision. Do I want 25 degrees, which I'm used to, or do I want to go to 30 degrees, which is going to be different? I think I'm going to flip the wheel over and go back to 25 degrees. So swap the wheel around. And I'm going to set my chisel port to back down 25 degrees. That's 35. Go back up 2. Okay. Alright, so now I'm back at the 80 grit stone. Or the 80 grit wheel, I mean. Definite difference in sound. How we doing? Yeah, it's gonna take a while. Okay, it's taking a little bit, but it's starting to come in with setting that bevel at 25 degrees with the 80 grit wheel. So I think what I'm ready to do now is go up top here to the 180 grit wheel and try flattening this back again. And we're getting pretty good scratches there. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this wheel and do my bevel at 180. I found this crate block that comes with the Worksharp is just fine for cleaning these CBN wheels as well. When they get after a couple of sharpenings, or tool rehabs, what I'll do is I'll take these and I'll put them in warm soapy water and kind of clean them up that way. Then finish them off with some WD-40. It seems to be taking a while, but it's so much faster than using sandpaper on glass or something like that, or even the diamond stones I have here. Okay. All right, I want to make sure I get it as good as I can before I move to the next wheel. Just less work on that next wheel. So I'm gonna try, this is 350 grit. I wanna check my wheel, make sure I'm not damaging it any. It's just okay, it's just metal coming off good. Let's see how we're doing. Okay, so I'm at 350 on the bevel on the bottom side. Make sure you got all those scratches all the way across. Getting a nice burr. All right, I'm at 600 grit on top here now. Okay. Let's go on to flipping this wheel one more last time so I can get 600 grit on the bevel. How's that? Just checking in the square real quick. I'm doing all right. Okay. So now we're at 600 on the bevel. So next I'm going to get my 800 grit. So this one's 800 and 1200. I'll put 800 up. That little bit white ring you can see is from putting old steel on this, and that's my own dumb fault. The guy that sells these Woodturners Wonders, he warns you about that. But with use, probably gonna come off just fine. Okay, so I'm good there. So the more and more I use this with harder steel, the more the metal that's on there comes off. It was much worse because I went for a long time before it finally dawned on me that I was messing it up. I scrubbed it with synthetic pad and WD-40, and quite a bit of it came off. But CBN Wheels, they cut so fast. Once you get that bevel started, it doesn't really take all that long. All right, now we should be able to do 1200 on the bottom. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Check out the square real quick. Very good. Now I should be able to just do 1200 on the back, and then we can go to stropping. Okay. Now I'm going to switch my wheel to my strop. To give it a good polish, I'm going to load up my strop real quick. This is a stropping disc that Worksharp sells. Yeah, it doesn't take much. I probably put too much on there, but so now we'll try stropping this thing. Yeah, it's getting really sharp now. So yeah, it's been a good system, working out for me. After this, what I hope to do is with this blade, since it's set up on this already, is now all I gotta do is maintenance stropping, maybe touch it to a occasional bent stone every once in a while, but if I keep on top of it, I really shouldn't have to go back to this again unless I nick the blade real bad. Alright, so I tell you what, let's go set up at the bench, and we'll throw this blade into the plane and set it up and see if it takes a cut. Okay, so after I got the blade, or the cutter, sharpener on the CBN wheels, I'm ready for a test cut. I went ahead and I set it. I'll do a separate video on how to set up a wooden hand plane. But we'll try to board on edge first. Looks like he's doing just fine. Okay, it's a jack plane, so it's going to take a bit of a thicker shaving. Although it's not as thin as I'd want for a smoothing plane, it's not as thick as I'd want for a jack plane, so it's somewhere in between, so it's doing just fine. Actually kind of fun to use. So that's a board on edge. Let's go ahead and take it to the face real quick. And I was practicing cutting and molding on this board, so let's read the grain real quick. Okay, so I'm going that way. Pop this dog and put it down on my last hole. If the blade's sharp, and as long as I keep headed straight towards the dog, this should be fine. When the blade is dull, I like playing against a dog like this because it gives you instant feedback on how you're doing. Because if you're going off to one side or another, it tells you if your technique is bad. All right, a bit heavier. Am I coming out the middle? So I'm gonna watch and see where these shavings are coming out at. All right, it's getting caught up down there for some reason. Let's see what the problem is right there. Okay, so what's my deal? Let's take a look. Okay, so I'm set up too heavy on that side, so I'm going to tap this over a little bit. Okay. Well, it's not the blade now, it's something else. So I'm still going to have to do a little bit more tuning to this plane. Probably see if the sole is flat, check the wedge. The screw is getting in the way of the wedge. The wedge isn't seated firmly against the chip breaker, so I might have to get a Forstner bit and hollow out a little area where that screw is at. But so far with just sharpening the cutter, coming straight from the antique store, this one's actually coming along pretty well. So I think I got a user on my hands. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video on using the Worksharp 3000 with CBN wheels to sharpen the cutter on this continental style hand plane. Please let me know if you'd like to see any more tool rehab videos. And thank you as always for your support. Appreciate your time. Thank you.